Welcome to Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on quite a fascinating exploration. We're looking at the journey of international students, particularly focusing on how they adapt culturally, their academic success, and really their overall well-being in U.S. higher education. Our mission, as always, is to dig into the important insights, maybe some surprising facts from the information we've gathered. We want to give you a comprehensive understanding, without drowning you in data.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is just how how multifaceted this whole experience is. You're talking about everything from figuring out completely new academic systems to these really deep personal journeys of identity, finding where you belong. Try to connect those dots for you. Highlight not just the challenges, which are significant, but also the incredible growth opportunities that come out of it.
Okay, let's start broad. Why are we seeing so many students, particularly from India, for example, choosing to study abroad, especially in the U.S.? What's the big picture here?
Well, if you look at the global trends, the data points to a few key things. We've seen this massive surge. I mean, back in 2017, there were over 5 lakh Indian students studying abroad. And then fast forward to 2023-24, a record number in the U.S. alone, over 331,000. That's, what, a 23% jump from the year before? It really shows this huge appetite for global opportunities for being part of a bigger world.
That is a huge jump. And what is it specifically about the U.S. that pulls them in, maybe over other popular spots like the U.K. or Canada?
That's a really good question. Beyond just that general globalization trend, the U.S. is consistently seen as, well, a top destination. A big part of that is the perceived quality of education, especially in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, math. Computer science engineering. These fields often have good post-study work options like OPT, optional practical training, which makes it really attractive for long-term career goals.
Right, the job prospects afterward.
Exactly. And there's also a sort of natural fit. About 60% of Indian students in the U.S. are in graduate programs, and they're often very high-quality candidates. Plus, the relatively stable relationship between the Indian and U.S. governments helps. It feels a bit more predictable than maybe some other countries lately. And, of course, don't underestimate the large Indian diaspora already here. That provides a crucial sense of connection, a bit of a safety net.
Okay, so they arrive, drawn by these opportunities. What hits them first? What are the immediate challenges they face trying to adapt culturally?
Yeah, the cultural adaptation piece, it's really complex. It's definitely not a straight line. One of the biggest things, often underestimated, is the language barrier. And I don't just mean basic English. Even students with strong English skills can really struggle.
How so? Like in what ways?
Well, think about academic vocabulary, specific terms used in lectures delivered at speed, or participating confidently in fast-paced classroom discussions. That can be intimidating. Even just navigating everyday social chat, humor, slang. It all impacts their academic work and their ability to make friends, to feel like they fit in.
That makes sense. It's more than just understanding the words. And beyond language, what about the day-to-day social stuff, the academic differences?
Right. There are big cultural differences in, say, communication styles,
Yeah.
how direct people are, social norms, personal space. And academically, U.S. universities often push this very informal, participatory learning style.
You mean like speaking up in class?
Exactly. You're expected to actively engage, ask questions, challenge ideas, debate. That could be a real shock if you come from a system that's more hierarchical, where you show respect by being quiet and listening to the professor. They also run into things like group projects, peer reviews, where you critique classmates' work, continuous assessment. It requires a whole new skill set.
Okay, so we have language, academic style, but the information we looked at also gets really personal. Things like homesickness, identity. That emotional side must be huge. How do they cope?
Oh, absolutely. That really touches on their well-being. The first few months can be incredibly overwhelming. Homesickness is a big one, especially during festivals or family events back home. You feel that distance. There's social anxiety, feeling out of place, maybe because of your accent or how you look.
Yeah, I can imagine.
One student shared something interesting, how moving away actually made them realize how much their Indian identity meant. They'd kind of taken it for granted before. Others faced, unfortunately, discrimination, like being questioned about their English even if it was fluent, or, facing assumptions, like someone implicitly asking if they were from a slum just based on being Indian.
Wow, that's tough.
Yeah. And for one student, Siddhant, feeling attacked because of his culture, actually pushed him, surprisingly, to connect more with his Indian identity. He started exploring India's history, regional cinema. It became a way to sort of reclaim and strengthen who he was. It's often a real journey of self-discovery.
It really sounds like this constant negotiation of self. What about interacting with the Indian diaspora already here? Or how other international students see India?
The experiences are really varied there. One student, Shambhavi, found many peers were fascinated by India, but honestly knew very little. Sometimes they'd ask kind of absurd questions or seem surprised she spoke English so well.
Oh, right, those stereotypes.
Exactly. She felt she almost had a responsibility to educate people about India's diversity, especially in classes where, say, European history was the main focus. Another student, Prithvi, studying in the UK, noticed how the whole conversation around ethnicity felt different, and it forced her to really think about what Indianness meant to her and how others saw it. And then Kashif, who was in Abu Dhabi, he saw these contrasting faces of India, his own privileged background versus the reality of Indian immigrant workers there. But he also found this strong sense of solidarity with other South Asian students. Shared history, culture, food, movies. That became a really important support network.
That makes sense, finding common ground. Now, adding another layer of stress, visa policies. How do changes there impact this journey?
That's a huge factor, and it's been quite volatile recently in some places. Countries like Australia, Canada, the UK. They've tightened things up. Stricter English tests, needing more proof of funds.
I heard Australia increased the financial requirement quite a bit.
They did, yeah, by about 17%. And Canada put a cap on student visas for 2024, a big drop. The UK raised visa fees, the health surcharge, and crucially stopped allowing most students to bring dependent family members. That's a massive change for many.
And the U.S.?
The U.S. has also adjusted requirements, like maybe needing more proof of funds or changes to the interview process. But generally, it's perhaps seen as having slightly more stable, or at least clearer, post-study work options compared to the rapid shifts elsewhere recently. Still, these policy changes everywhere add stress. They can make you feel more like an outsider, like Prithvi felt in the UK with stricter visa monitoring. It adds this layer of uncertainty.
Okay, so given all these hurdles, language, culture shock, academics, homesickness, identity, visas, it's a lot. What kind of support actually helps students navigate all this? What's working?
Well, universities are definitely aware of these challenges. They've put strategies in place, which usually fall into three buckets: institutional support, peer support, and getting involved with the wider community.
Let's break that down. What does institutional support look like? What do the universities themselves offer?
So that includes things like really comprehensive orientation programs, often starting even before the academic year kicks off. They cover academic culture, campus resources, but also practical things: how to use public transport, understanding the healthcare system.
The nitty-gritty stuff.
Exactly. And crucially, language support.
Yes,
ASL programs, language centers. These are vital. They don't just boost grades, they improve the whole quality of life, helping students engage more.
Yeah.
And given the emotional side we talked about, mental health services are key. Counseling tailored for international students, dealing with homesickness, cultural adjustment. That's vital for their well-being.
Makes sense. And the peer support from other students, that would be huge too.
Oh, absolutely crucial. You see mentoring programs quite often. Pairing new international students with experienced ones, maybe domestic students, maybe older international students who've been through it. They offer guidance on academics, campus life, cultural norms. Just having a friendly face can make such a difference. Reduce that feeling of isolation.
A lifeline almost.
Sort of, yeah. And then you have the international student organizations, cultural clubs. These create spaces to connect, share experiences, celebrate traditions from home. They often invite domestic students too, which is great for fostering that intercultural understanding. It builds a real sense of community.
And beyond the campus bubble, how do they connect with the local community?
That's the third piece, community involvement. It's important for deeper integration. Universities might run cultural exchange programs, things like cultural nights, language partner schemes, global forums. They help bridge gaps. And host family programs can be amazing. They offer this unique home away from home. Students get immersed in daily American life, understand local customs, and share their own culture too. That can really ease the adjustment.
So looking at all these support systems, institutional, peer, community, how effective are they really? And what's the bigger picture in terms of the student's personal growth?
Well, you can measure effectiveness in terms of things like academic results, how well students adjust socially, their mental health, overall satisfaction. For example, good language support clearly leads to better understanding, better grades. Peer support definitely helps with belonging, cuts down on isolation. So students who feel well supported generally have a much more positive experience.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I think, especially for listeners maybe considering this path or parents. How does this whole thing fundamentally change the student as a person?
Yeah, this is perhaps the most profound impact. It's about personal growth. It builds incredible confidence and adaptability. Think about it. They learn to navigate everything independently, setting up bank accounts, figuring out transport, managing money where the currency value is totally different.
Where a rupee is just over $1, yeah. That takes adjustment.
Huge adjustment. They develop serious problem-solving skills, resilience. They learn to stand up for themselves. It's a shift from thinking, uh-oh, can I handle this?
Yeah.
To knowing, you know what, I've dealt with tougher things, I can figure this out.
It sounds like more than just becoming independent. It's also about self-discovery, right? And maybe seeing their own identity differently.
Absolutely. Living abroad just exposes you to so many different perspectives. It forces you to question assumptions about your own culture, about things like caste, gender roles. And interestingly, this process usually doesn't erase their Indian identity. Often it actually strengthens it. They learn to articulate their values, stand by their roots with more confidence, while also learning to respect other views. Like Nirmohi, one student mentioned, found that studying abroad helped her see society through a much more multicultural, accepting lens, even when faced with ignorant questions.
And all this personal growth, the confidence, adaptability, self-awareness, surely that translates into benefits for their future careers.
Oh, definitely. This is a key point. Why does this kind of growth matter professionally? Because global employers today are looking for exactly these skills. They want people who can solve problems independently, adapt quickly, communicate across cultures, handle pressure. International students get intense, hands-on experience with all of that. Living independently, juggling tough academics, often with part-time work, navigating cultural nuances in professional settings. It builds a kind of maturity that employers notice. Adaptability, clear communication, confidence, time management, emotional intelligence, cultural sensitivity. These become real, proven skills.
So it's really not just about getting that degree, is it? There's so much more going on.
Not at all. It's much deeper. And, the reality is real growth rarely happens when you're comfortable. It happens when you push through those tough challenges, the homesickness, a culture shock, the financial stress. Those hard moments aren't failures. They're actually crucial steps in this transformative journey. The interchange, the confidence, the perspective that lasts way longer than any specific job title or salary. Students come back or move on, ready to live and work pretty much anywhere with real emotional maturity and a mindset that values learning, collaboration, and global thinking.
This deep dive really highlights that, doesn't it? Choosing to study abroad, yes, it's about academics and opportunity, but it's so profoundly about personal evolution, about becoming a different kind of person.
Exactly. As we've talked about, from tackling language issues and new academic styles to managing homesickness and figuring out identity, this experience really fosters self-reliance, adaptability, and a genuinely global outlook. And the support systems, whether from the university, peers, or the community, they play such a vital role. They help ensure students don't just succeed on paper, but truly thrive as individuals. It transforms them into these confident, culturally savvy people ready to engage with a really complex, interconnected world.
Well said. All the best to you out there navigating these journeys or considering them. And we will meet again with another important subject in the next deep dive.